Understanding different date functions in SQL Server. Hi, I'm M. Asif Hussain from KnowHow Academy. What are we going to learn in this video? We are going to learn the different date functions we have in SQL Server, such as DATEPART function, DATENAME function, DATEADD function, DATEDIFF function in SQL Server. So at the end of this video, you are going to get a very excellent idea on how we have to use the different date functions and the different applications of these date functions. So let's learn into this. Before directly explaining it to you, what are the different types of date functions we are going to cover in this video, I would like to tell that the format what the SQL Server follows is we have the date and we have the hours, we have minutes, we have seconds, and we have milliseconds. So again, in the date, we go with the month, date, year, month, date, and as follows. So let's learn the first function that we are going to learn now is DATEPART function. Okay, so if we understand this DATEPART function, let me explain it to you with a query. I am writing a select statement and I am writing the function name called DATEPART. So in the name itself we have DATEPART, a part of a date. Alright. So here what is that date part we are going to get or we are going to fetch in the output, that we are going to write it here, and we generally call it as an interval. So we will write the date and we are writing the hours, we are writing the minutes, we are writing the seconds, then this is a millisecond. Okay, so now if we see this weekday, so every week we get a number, am I right? Week number. So we are getting a weekday. So what is the day of the week, that we are going to get it from this one. So if I execute it, I am getting the number as 2. So 19th August 2024, the weekday is 2, the second weekday. Now in the same place, if we try to change the another interval, so for example, if I remove this weekday here and if I write the month, so when I am trying to execute it, we can see that we have got the month from this date. So my dear viewers, we have to understand one important thing is that when we are telling what exactly we would like to see in the output from the date, we are getting it, but we are not touching anything from hours, minutes, seconds or milliseconds. So for instance, as we have seen that we have got month here. Now what if the case if I write hour? Alright, so 22 is the number, right? So when I execute it, we get 22 here. Alright, so we need to understand that we are getting the part of a date that we have mentioned it in our query. So now in the same way, as we have got the part of the date, in the next date function we are going to get the name of the date. Okay, so when I have kept month here, we are getting the month as 8 in the output. Am I right? So now with the same, instead of date part, I would like to see the name of the date. I would like to get the name of the date in the output. So I will write date name here. So in the same example, instead of weekday, let me keep it as month. So 8th month is August. Am I right? So now if I execute it, we are getting August. Am I right? So date name. So how am I getting August here? Okay. So if I keep some another number, for example, if I keep 11th month. So what is 11th month? 11th month is November. Am I right? So if I execute it, I am getting November in the output. So what we have to understand is that SQL Server by default has these functions inbuilt. So wherever we give a number, it is giving us the output, right? So with the specified date name that we are getting it. So what's happening here is that in the backend part, we have this one inbuilt readily available for us. So whenever we are trying to fetch it, we are getting the output that we have to look into it. So now walking on to the next DATEADD function. Okay, we are going to understand the DATEADD function. In the name itself we have DATEADD. We are adding a date. Am I right? So now I'm writing a select query with a DATEADD function. So as I have written day here, now let me choose 5 days I want to add it. To which particular day? 18th. From 18th, 5 days I would like to add it. So 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd. So 22nd, if I would like to execute it, we can see that, okay, so from 5 days. So considering from the 18th, we are adding 5 days. So 23rd August 2024, we are getting it in the output, right? So now if we consider some other date, okay, so if I consider 10 days, okay, 10. So from 18th, 10 days. So what will be the output if we check it? We have 28th of August 2024. So now if I would like to add 3, and now from day I would like to change it to month. I would like to change it to month. So from 8th August, 3 months I am adding it. Okay, 3 months I am adding it. We can see that we have got 11 November, right? So 3 adding with the 8. So now in the same way we can add for year also. Year for 2024, 3 years I am adding it. Okay, so what will happen here? I am getting 2027. 3 years I am adding it with the 2024. I am getting 2027. So this is how DATEADD function will work. So now you might have a question. So we are telling about the future one, adding some date. What happens if I want to go back? Okay, so from 30th of, for example, if we consider from 30th of August 2024, I would like to go to back 20 days. So when I'm going to for the back, then I will use the sign called negative. So where I will count it backwards. So when I try to execute it, we are getting the back days. Okay, 30 minus 20, we have got 10th of August 2024. So if whenever we are trying to add for the future, we will just write the interval. Okay, we don't give any positive sign there. But if you would like to go in the backwards, so past 20 days or past 15 months or past 3 years, then we can go with the negative sign. So what interval we are going to give with the negative sign, that matters a lot. So that's how the DATEADD function will work. So now let's understand DATEDIFF function. So for this DATEDIFF function, we need to have much more interest, because many of the interview questions might come from DATEDIFF function, from the date functions that we have it in our SQL Server. So if we look into it here, so we have DATEDIFF function and the month I am choosing it. So if we consider it, we have got the 11th month, 30th of day and the 2005 as a year. Okay, so now I would like to differentiate, subtract it. So I am subtracting the month, not the year and not the day. If I am subtracting the month, okay, 11, 1. So how many, what is the difference here? That we have to look into it. 2 months difference, okay. 12th month, which is the December, and we are getting the first month, that's why we have got the difference 2. Okay, now the same DATEDIFF function, if you would like to use it for the day, so we can see that we have the day called 30th and we have the day called 31st. So how many days difference? But if you consider it, we are getting 62. Why are we getting 62? The reason is that when we are seeing only the day, that's wrong, because we have the year difference here. So 2005 30th, 2006 31st, right? So 62 days difference. So to find out the difference between two dates, we go with the DATEDIFF function. So in the real-time applications where we use the DATEDIFF function is nothing but, for example, we have some sales and marketing data. And in this sales and marketing data, if we have the order date of any product and we have a shipment date of the product, so whenever we try to get the difference, we will get on how many days this order was delivered. So we can fetch this with the DATEDIFF function in SQL Server. So there are many such applications if we talk about in the real time when we are working. And so these are the date functions which are very much important and most frequently used in our real time projects when we are working in the companies. So in this video, we have learned how we have to use the DATEPART function, how we have to use the DATEADD function, how we have to use the DATENAME function, and how we have to use the DATEDIFF function in SQL Server. So thank you for choosing KnowHow Academy as your source for IT knowledge. We are always here to help you to navigate the tech world. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out. It's been a pleasure sharing this information with you. Stay curious and keep learning.